This is lesson 6-4, decimal forms of fractions and mixed numbers. Our essential question, how can you write fractions and mixed numbers as decimals? And here is an example of an improper fraction being written as a decimal and a mixed number. We have two vocab words, terminating decimal, which means the digits in the quotient end and there's no remainder, and a repeating decimal. The digits in the quotient repeat. And we've talked about this briefly in class, but it would look something like this. If you keep getting 3, 3, 3, 3 as your answer and it keeps going, remember we just put a line over top of it. That means that it's going to keep repeating. So I'd like you to copy down that example. All right, example number 1. We're going from a decimal to a fraction. Now I want you to think back to lesson 6-2 because this is basically the same thing. We look at the last digit to the right, which is the 8. 8 is in the tenths place, so we put 8 over 10. And we reduce it. So 8 and 10 can both be divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my answer is 4/5. All right, going from a fraction to a decimal. Again, same thing that we've already done. 7/10, we just divide it. Numerator inside, denominator outside. 10 cannot go into 7, so we put a 0. We have to add a decimal and a 0. Bring that decimal straight up. 10 goes into 70 7 times evenly. So the decimal is 7/10. All right, so now we have a decimal and we're going to make it into a mixed number. Again, same thing, but now we just have a whole number also. So we keep anything before the decimal the same. So my whole number is 3. And it just stays as 3. Now I need to take everything after my decimal and make it into a fraction so I can make it into a mixed number. So I look at where the last digit is, and 5 is my last digit to the right, and 5 is in the thousandths place. So I put 125 over 1,000. And that's my mixed number. But I can reduce that, so I'm going to reduce. Now I know that 125 and 1,000 can both be divided by 25. If you want to use something different, like I know they can both be divided by 5, you can use that. Whatever you know, use what you know. And just keep using repeated division. So let's divide. I'm going to do it over here where I have some more room. I just rewrote my fraction and I'm going to divide by 25. Now 125 divided by 25 is 5. And 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. Now I know 5 and 40 can both be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. So I keep my whole number as 3, and now I reduced my fraction part to 1/8. So 3 1/8 is my answer. Our last example, going from a mixed number to a decimal. Now again, my whole number is going to stay the same. So I'm going to have 1 and something. So I have to figure out what 5/8 is as a decimal. And I do that by dividing. 5 divided by 8. 8 cannot go into 5, so I put a 0, add a decimal and a 0, bring the decimal up. 8 goes into 50 6 times, which equals 48. I have 2 left over, so I add a 0 and bring that down. 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. And I have 4 left over. Add a 0 and bring that down. 8 goes into 40 5 times evenly. So here is my decimal part, and I just add that right on to my whole number. So I already have 1 for my whole number, then my decimal is 625 thousandths. So 1 and 625 thousandths is my answer as a decimal. Okay, I'm sorry, our last one was not our last example. I added more to this one so we could have a little more practice. I'm used to only putting 4 examples. But we have another decimal to a mixed number. So we have 2 as the whole number. Now we need to make this into a fraction. So we see where our last digit is. The 5 is in the hundredths place. So we put 75 over 100. Now 75 and 100 can be reduced. I'm going to do that over here. They can both be divided by 25. 75 divided by 25 is 3, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. And that is as low as it can go. So, altogether, I keep my whole number still. I have 2 3/4. Example number 6, going from a mixed number to a decimal. So, whole number stays the same. And now I have to change 5/9 into a decimal, and I do that by dividing. 9 cannot go into 5, so I put a 0, add a decimal and a 0, bring the decimal up. 9 goes into 50 5 times, which is 45, which gives me 5 left over. 9 can't go into 5, so I add a 0 and bring it down. 9 goes into 50 5 times, and that's 45. I'm going to have 5 left over again, and I'm going to keep getting 5, 5, 5. So remember, we just put a line over it to show that it's going to keep repeating. So here is my decimal portion. So I'm going to add that to my whole number. So my answer is 4 and 55/100ths repeating. So it would really go on forever. All right, here are your practice problems. For 1 and 2, you're going to change them to a decimal. And for the second 2, you're going to change the decimals into a fraction or mixed number. It looks like both of those are going to be mixed numbers. Don't forget a word problem or a question, and rate your understanding.